Hi, I would like to share with you the scripture is the book of Daniel is chapter 5. I'm going to read the entire chapter, starting with verse 1. Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the gold and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines drank of them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold, and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against another. The king cried aloud to bring the astrologers in, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spoke and said to the wise men of Babylon, Whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold around his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house, and the queen spoke, and she said, O king, live forever. Let not your thoughts trouble you, nor let your countenance be changed. There is a man in your kingdom, in whom is the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of your father light and understanding wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar your father, the king I say your father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spoke and said unto Daniel, Are you that Daniel, which are of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom my king, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I've even heard of you, that the spirit of the gods is in you, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in you. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of you, that you can make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now if you can read a writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, you shall be clothed with scarlet, have a chain of gold around your neck, and you shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let your gifts be to yourself, and give your rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O you king, the most high God gave Nebuchadnezzar your father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor, and for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would he slew, and whom he would he kept alive, and whom he would he set up, and whom he would he put down. But when his heart was lifted up and his mind hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him, and was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, until he knew that the Most High ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appoints it over to that he appoints over it whomsoever he will. And you, his son, O Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, though you knew all this, but have lifted up yourself against the Lord of heaven, and have brought the vessels of the house before you, and you and your lords, your wives, and your concubines have drunk wine in them, and you have praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand your breath is, and whose are all your ways have you not glorified? Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written, and this is the writing that was written, Mene, Mene, Tekel Upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, God has numbered your kingdom and finished it. Tekel, you are weighed in the balances and are found wanting. Peres, your kingdom is divided and given over to the Medes and the Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. And that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Now, those scriptures right there are talking about what happened near the end of the Babylonian Empire, where King Nebuchadnezzar's grandson Belshazzar was having a feast with his lords, his wives, and his concubines, and he was drinking wine, and then he decided to get the gold and silver vessels from the house of God and basically drink wine out of those things, and so they brought the vessels from the house of God, and they drank wine in them, and they praised God, gods of gold and silver, iron, wood, and stone, and that's when they saw a hand writing on the wall. I mean, it wrote 4 words, and this made the king so scared. I mean, he was basically literally peeing his robes, and he wanted somebody to basically read the writing on the wall and basically interpret it and to tell the king what it means, but there was nobody among the soothsayers, the astrologers, or the Chaldeans that could read the writing on the wall. But the queen brings to the king's attention Daniel, who was able to interpret dreams that Belshazzar's grandfather, King Nebuchadnezzar, had, especially one where he saw this great big tree that was cut down, and Daniel interpreted as the king losing his kingdom for a while, and then being driven out into the wilderness, and his heart being turned into that of a beast, and so Belshazzar brought in Daniel, and he said that Belshazzar said that if you can interpret the message that was written on the wall, then you could have a gold chain around your neck, and you can be the third ruler in the kingdom. But Daniel wasn't interested in rewards. He was willing to read to interpret the message on the wall. However, I mean, and he basically told King Belshazzar about his grandfather that when he had a dream that Daniel interpreted that he was going to lose his kingdom for a while, and his heart was going to be turned to beast. That he ended up realizing that the Most High rules over all the earth, and he basically became a believer. But Belshazzar he did a brazen thing before God. He ended up taking golden vessels from the temple of the Lord, and he and his lords drank from those vessels, and they end up praising the gods of gold, silver, iron, wood, and stone, and he didn't glorify God at all in his actions. I mean, and that's when God decided to send his message to King Belshazzar, which are basically 4 words: Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin, and he interpreted the words that were in Mene, that God has finished the kingdom of Babylon. He numbered it and he finished it. Tekel, that the Lord weighed. He weighed Belshazzar on the balances and found him deficient. I mean, and Paris, that the kingdoms have been given over to the Medes and the Persians, and of course, Belshazzar decides to reward Daniel anyway, to give him a gold chain around his neck and make him the 3rd ruler of the kingdom. However, this was a short-lived victory, because that night Belshazzar was slain, and King Darius the Persian took over and set up his kingdom over that of Babylon, and then we read in the following chapter that that Daniel was made one of the 3 presidents over the satraps of the Medo-Persian kingdom, and that's a warning that we should be careful not to piss off God. I mean, because when we do that, we basically invite God's judgment. I mean, and that's what King Belshazzar did when he drank out of the he and his lords and his wives and his concubines drank out of the vessels from the house of God, and praised their idols, and just they brought judgment upon themselves. And that's pretty much all I have to share with you in this video. So have a good day, and may God bless you.